Welcome to another episode of the Never Lose a Deal podcast. Today, I am talking about leveraging creative financing to build tax free wealth. So, last night, I did an impromptu video on my YouTube channel. And so, if you are new to me or new to listening to my voice, on my YouTube channel, you can go right on YouTube. You can search my name, Brown-Phillips, and I have over 800 videos, really more than that, but I think about 800 that are live where I talk about funding and financing and real estate. And so last night did an impromptu video discussing my breakdown of over 180 assets that I recently got from an asset manager. And just to give you a little background for those who have not saw the video, and if you're listening to my voice or watching this on YouTube, please go to that video. I believe the title is Analyzing Over 188 Real Estate Notes. So just to give you a background, um, a lot of what I do is based on my experience or my experience of working with clients. So rest assured, anything that I'm talking about is not from a place of theory. I think now in the online space, we have a lot of people who can give you the radical explanation of some things, but they've never put it to practice. And the one thing that I pride myself on is that anything that I talk about, I can give you context to what I'm saying, not just tell you from a theory standpoint, read a few books, listen to a few webinars, watch a few live streams and say, well, I'm an expert on it. A lot of what I do is based on either my real life experience or clients. So before I go into what I want to discuss today on the podcast, I want to give you a little background because that will be the precursor of what I want to talk about today. So about a week ago, early May, received a tape of over 180 assets of a portfolio. And what do I mean about 180 assets? So these are mortgage notes. So just so for people who are not aware, there are a lot of areas of real estate to invest in. Most people, especially newbies, are only really familiar with hard assets. So some people only believe that the only way to invest in real estate, it has to be a hard asset. Nothing wrong with that. If that is your cup of tea, then by all means, I get it. But there are some areas of real estate that are intangible, meaning that you don't physically see what you are investing in. And when I say see it, meaning that you may not own the actual physical real estate. And a lot of times people, they are familiar with tax deeds or they're familiar with tax liens because that is something similar where you can control an asset, have an investing interest, but you may not own the actual asset. Well, mortgage notes work the same way. There is a person who has maybe a deed to a home, and let me just say, I say that generally because throughout the U.S., every state has a different acquisition strategy on you being able to purchase real estate. So I'm only talking about generally for what people are familiar with. So most people are familiar that if you buy a piece of real estate, you get a deed. Well, if you didn't buy it in cash and you don't own the property free and clear, so there's a mortgage lien that is against that property. Well, that particular mortgage lien is owned by someone who is holding the paper on that particular real estate asset. So if you are a regular layperson who has a mortgage or you're a real estate investor, every month you pay a mortgage to an entity. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of huge entities sell their mortgage note pools off to smaller people like myself because they may not see any profit in it from a larger scale because they may own billions and billions and billions of mortgage notes. And a lot of times, if they want to raise capital or they want to go into another if they want to sell some things off their books, they'll sell it off to, smaller individuals like me. And of course, small is relative. But let's just say I'm not a billionaire, and don't play one on TV. So yes, I'm going to consider myself a little person. So I say that to say I have the ability to invest in mortgage notes. And so I got this pool. And so last night I went over the tape to give you an idea what it looks like. It's pretty much an Excel spreadsheet. There's a lot of pertinent information depending on your investment strategy, your exit strategy, and what you want to do with the asset. And so I broke it down that the first, I believe, 50 assets were reverse mortgages. So what that means is the person took out a reverse mortgage, a senior, they've passed away. And now a lot of times the heirs are not really interested in buying the property because what will happen is they will now have to take on the liability of the reverse mortgage. And a lot of times they don't want to do that. So these hedge funds or asset managers or banks, they sell these assets off. And so the first 50 line items of the spreadsheet were all reverse mortgages. And so the exit strategy for anyone who would be interested in those is that they would take full possession, of the property. So they would be buying the mortgage note with the understanding that they are going to pursue moving forward with it just so they can have the asset. And of course, like I said, everything depends on your investment strategy, your end strategy, what you have in mind. And what do I mean by that? Meaning you may want to buy the mortgage note, continue with the foreclosure process. So now you can not only own the asset because you may want to rent it out or rehab it or what have you. With that being said, the rest of the tape were non-performing mortgages. Now, what are non-performing mortgages? Well, those are mortgages that the person who was paying on the mortgage may be behind. They may be behind a few months, they may be behind a few years, but the understanding is that you are purchasing something that is in a default status. Now, the default status could be that the foreclosure process may have started or the foreclosure process needs to start. And so I went over that spreadsheet. I tell you that story is because that is going to lead me to the conversation today. While I was going through that video, it came upon me to say, hey, okay, I talked about what it is, what it looks like, but I really didn't talk about the execution strategy on how would you take possession of those assets if you wanted to move forward. And that's what led me today talking about leveraging creative financing to build tax-free wealth. And so that, my friends, is why I'm doing this video today, because what a lot of people don't understand is that there are so many entryways on how you can purchase real estate. And when I say purchase real estate, I don't mean in a traditional sense because most people are familiar with if I want to buy real estate, I have to get a mortgage. Well, outside of the realm of those individuals, and let me just share this story. Once again, another precursor. My exposure to real estate has never been the traditional route. I have never actually went to a mortgage broker, got approved, and then went and bought a home. All my real estate purchases have always been out of the box and they have been creative. When, I pursued real estate the first time in 2007, it was out of the box, it was creative. So this is something that I am very familiar with. And throughout the years, my knowledge base has expanded and has grown. So when I have these conversations, it is not for the newbie person, even though, as I mentioned that story in '07, I said I was new to it, but understand I knew going in that I'm not looking to do this the traditional route. And so when I have these conversations, because I've been having the leverage financing creatively since 2018. This is not something that I just started during 2020. And a lot of those strategies was credit cards, lines of credit, loans, or what have you. And it was never to be for the newbie person. Because I feel like right now in the space that we're in now, when people try to pair the two together in terms of leveraging whatever, whether it's credit cards, lines of credit, loans, or what have you, um, that's all that they know. And whether they have experience in it or not, or they're just regurgitating information, that's not for me to judge. But I'm going to say for myself, creative financing runs a whole gamut. When I work with clients, I tell people that there's pretty much a capital stack that I'm able to identify to help clients make the move to be able to say, this is what I want to purchase. And now let's look at all the different capital strategies that we can look at to be able to expand your portfolio. Well, one of those ways is, like I said, is tax free. So when an individual, when I say individual entity, meaning real estate investor, they've gotten over the newness. So understand, this conversation today is not going to be the newbie. It's not going to be for that person who's like, ooh, how can I do this with no money down? It's not for that person. I'm a big advocate of debt. I'm not one of these debt-free individuals. We're going to build wealth debt-free. I understand that has a place. Many people like that, but I am a big supporter of leveraging debt. Now, understand, I say that with a precursor because understand you need to know who you are and whose you are. If debt scares you, if you don't have no handle on it, you still trying to struggle with paying credit cards, or you haven't paid credit cards in the past, or there's some financial trauma that's still attached to you using debt, then I'm going to say with caution, this conversation isn't for you. But for the real estate investor who truly is, they've gotten over the newness, meaning they invest in a particular asset class that they know works. Like they know it works. They're always looking for ways to expand what it is they do, and that is where I come in. Well, as a real estate investor move up the financial ladder that they're pursuing, the thing that they will discover is that they are looking to be able to hold on to that wealth and do it without paying a lot on taxes. And when I say paying a lot on taxes, I do not mean tax avoidance. Nothing that I'm talking about is, ways to avoid paying your due to Uncle Sam. What I'm talking about is ways that Uncle Sam has said, yes, we understand that you are a business owner who invests in real estate. You also invest in it. And these are the laws that we have created for you to be able to leverage and build wealth for you and your family. And that is what I'm talking about. So for that person who has gotten to that stage where, hey, I know this works. I do this. And now it's like, okay, every year I have a tax bill, or they're doing some planning on asset protection. Now there's time to have another conversation. And that's where I come in. So when I talked about all those real estate notes that I was looking at, now that real estate package that I was looking at with all those different notes, were for me. So I got this tape in May. The bids are due to the asset manager on the 24th, I believe. And then I will hear, because there's other bidders they're who's bidding on them also, and then I will find out if I win them. In the event that I win, that is why I said last night, what is this podcast is going to be about, is what will be my strategy to move forward. Now, understand, you do not get a mortgage to buy a mortgage. So let's just say that is out of the door. Like, we're not even considering that. No, I'm not going to be looking for a mortgage to get a mortgage. But then I look at my toolbox of all the financing strategies that I know that I can tap into. Like I said, what I teach clients is what I do. There's a whole capital stack. But what is my main goal? Well, let me just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm over 50 years old. So my goal is, I'm over the fact that, how much money I can make. That's already been proven. Like, I know that real estate can generate income. I got that. I don't need to prove that to myself. I also don't need to prove that I'm so hard on money, I got to make money today. That's not my thing. So my only goal is to be able to build lasting wealth. And I would love to do it tax free. And so, how will I be able to do that? Well, if you remember last month, I said last month was all about capital, raising capital. And I was talking about the highest level of capital that you can tap into, and that would be raising capital. Well, remember when I said I have my whole toolbox on ways that I would move forward to be able to make this purchase on whatever the assets that I bid on that get accepted? Well, two of the ways is going to be, once again, tax free wealth. Is I'm either going to tap into my own wealth preservation tool. And what is that? That is a self-directed IRA. Remember when I said the IRS, we're not doing tax avoidance, we're doing tax free. Tax free means that the government, the IRS, has put rules and laws in place for individuals or entities to be able to leverage. Well, the self-directed IRA gives us that advantage, because the self-directed IRA was created for individuals like myself. I want to be able to control my investment selection. I do not want a fund company to select it. I want to select it. I select real estate. IRS has all types of assets that you can invest in a self-directed IRA. I elect for real estate. And then also within that, I have the provision that I will let a custodian know, because of course I'm using a custodian, to say, will this be a Roth self-directed IRA or traditional? And I am going to choose the Roth. Well, the Roth self-directed IRA will allow me to be able to move forward with funds that I have in my self-directed IRA to be able to purchase these mortgage notes. Now, the self-directed IRA is the entity that I do control that is now going to be my capital leveraging tool to move forward to purchase these assets. Now, this is where the fun begins. Lorelia, why don't you want to use a line of credit? Lorelia, why don't you want to use a credit card? Lorelia, why don't you want to use a loan? Well, the reason why I don't want to use any of those is because, remember, I want the ability to have that income, the income that I'm going to receive. Now, you may be wondering, well, what's the income that I'm going to receive? Well, every month when the person who pays on the mortgage makes a payment, that is income to my entity. I don't want to pay taxes on that. I don't want to avoid taxes, but I know that the IRS says, hey, you have the ability to be able to do this tax free. Well, yes, IRS, I would like to do that. I would like to accumulate all the income that I receive from these mortgage assets that I purchase, to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate and accumulate income and not pay on it. I can just keep it in my self-directed IRA, because remember, I'm not hard up for cash. Like I gotta have the money. I'm not in awe about, oh, I'm investing in something. I'm past that stage. I'm looking to move into an area of, I'm just going to let this money sit and grow and accumulate. Now, for the conversation of the line of credit, the credit card, remember when I said it depends on your exit strategy. It's not that there's a wrong or a right way. It's what do you want to do? Now, if I was to use a credit card or a line of credit, understand what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. One, the entity that I'm using that credit card and line of credit for, one, any income that is accumulated from those mortgage notes, at the end of the year, I have to pay taxes on it because I'm using my entity's leverage of capital. So I know one may say, now this is for the smart people, not for the slick people. The smart people are saying, well, Aurelia, the debt that you used is going to somewhat be offsetted by the income that you are getting. And you are right. But remember, I'm doing this for the long haul. I'm not really interested in just holding income in my business real estate entity. I'm looking long term, not short term. But understand, there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone's strategy, everyone's plan is different. And that is where I come in, because there's not one way to skin a cat. For the person who's telling you that this is the only way, is they know that they're talking to someone who is uninformed. Because remember, I said, you had the asset class that you feel like, okay, winner chicken dinner, like this is what I invest in, I know it works, I do fix and flips, I do short-term rentals, I do multifamilies, you can't tell me nothing, I know this works. That's who this conversation is for. I invest in mobile homes, but now it's like, what can I do to expand that what I do? And that's where I come in with a different creative financing tools. And if for those who really want to play the long-term game, like they know they're doing this for the long haul, they not in it to get a quick hit or a quick win. Now they're ready for the conversation of, let's take what it is that you have and now position it for tax-free wealth, not tax avoidance. We're not talking how I can, run the play on the IRS. No, we're talking about there are rules and tax laws right now that have been put in place by the IRS that they say, it's for you to use. It's for you to use, business owner, real estate business owner, real estate investor. And that's where leveraging creative financing comes in. Because understand this, creative financing is different for every entry and exit strategy. There is no one way. Is no such thing as this is the only way that you do creative finance. Creative financing just pretty much means, in a nutshell, it's a non-traditional way to be able to purchase real estate, once again legally, without the traditional, without doing the traditional things. Most traditional things that people are familiar with is get a mortgage, got to get pre-approved, and all this other. If it's a FHA, if it's not FHA, if it's a VA loan, that's the gamut. But anything outside of you doing something traditionally is where creative financing comes in. And so, me talking about the self directed IRA is just one of the many strategies. If a person is looking to, hey, I want to expand my portfolio, I want to be able to create tax free wealth. And like I said, that's just one. That's why I say it's many tools in the toolbox. That's why I always say that I tell people, don't compare me to what you think someone else does. Because one, I don't know what it is that they do, but this is what I know that I do. So I always tell people, if you're just looking for that one credit card, oh, I'm trying to get, American Express business credit card, and with the hopes of, and I may do some real estate on the side. You know what? I'm not the best fit for you. I'm not the best fit for you. There's someone out there who can literally show you how to do. They're going to help you, get your points, accumulate your points. You get free trips, whatever it is that you're trying to do. That's not me. What I do is I help individuals, real estate individuals, leverage capital, which of course, once again, there's different capital strategies to leverage, but using it creatively. And tax free wealth is just one of the many things, because everybody is not looking to build wealth tax free. But a lot of real estate investors are looking to be able to expand their real estate portfolio and do it in a creative fashion. Tax free is just something that I wanted to talk about today, because a lot of times, like I said, my goal I said in 2024 is to give context to conversations that I'm having, because it's easy for someone to read a book, watch a podcast, and tell you a whole bunch of stuff about it, and then there's nothing real life tied to it. And that's where I come in. That's why the context is so important, at least for me. I don't know what other people are doing, but this is it. So this is really, like I said, yesterday was the prequel. Today is the second part of the conversation that I was talking about the 188 assets. If you want to see that video and you're listening to this podcast or you're watching it, just go to my YouTube channel, and you just you look in, go into YouTube, put in my name, Lorelia Brown-Phillips, go to analyzing 188 real estate assets, and you'll see it where I go through the whole gamut. And so you'll get an understanding context of this conversation today. So once again, like I said, this is what the Never Lose a Deal podcast is all about. It is about creative financing strategies for the real estate investor outside of the normal traditional ways of being able to execute on real estate. And so tax-free wealth is just one of the things that I'm talking about today, giving you real life situation, real life stories. I'll give you an update on those assets. Like I said, I have to May to 24th to be able to bid on those assets. And so we'll let you know what was the result and what happened. So this is Lorelia. I am signing off. To learn more about me and what it is that I do, go right under the show notes. If you're listening on Spotify or any of the other podcasting platforms, please rate and let me know your thoughts. If you're watching this on YouTube, like I said, if you go to the previous video, like I said, analyzing 188 assets, you'll find it there. And also, to learn more about me, you can go to www.neverloseadeal.com. Until the next time, I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.